Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Alrighty, so today, as you can see, got a bit of a mucky old work area. This is because I've done some fossil prepping. Basically what that means is I get a lump of rock, like so, and then I chip away and find the fossils within. I know these rocks contain fossils because a friend of mine sent them down after his fossil searching and collecting, and basically he's a very experienced collector of fossils. He's been doing it a few years. Alrighty, so there are varying types of fossils that you can get. You can get like a rock with just one in, or you can get one with what they call a multi-block. Now, I thought I'd practice on doing some multi-blocks. So here's a photo of the first one that I attempted. So that was the first one. So then, after a lot of painstaking work and what have you, we have our results of that prep work. I will explain everything else shortly. But this is the end result of removing all the surface rock that wasn't necessary. There's a little tiny ammonite in there and a bigger one, and some pieces which don't have their centres because in fossilization they just rotted away, I should imagine. But that was my first attempt. There's a little one just poking out in here. So I was quite pleased with this one. So my second attempt was what they call another multi-block, as you can see from the photograph. This one arrived smashed. Okay, so I had to learn very quickly how to reconstruct, or put it all back together. It's like a crazy jigsaw. And this is what came out of my patience and some really on-the-job learning. So this is the next multi-block that we got here. So we have partial ammonite again, as a small little shell here. Another partial ammonite, small shells. And this end of the matrix I left as it is, purely because there are too many little pieces of shells, little tiny pieces of ammonite, and various other pieces of debris that was on obviously the seabed when this went into fossilization. So I'm quite pleased with this one. Even though the trained eye can see where I repaired it, there's a repair line here, around here, and then it was actually around this bit here. So if I just point with my little pointer, so the crack goes across here, round there, and round here. So yeah, but it was difficult, to say the least. Oh, and there's another fault here as well. But I'm quite pleased how that actually turned out. So the next thing that we need to have a quick talk about before I start prepping another fossil with you is the equipment needed. Obviously, safety first. Goggles, a must. You get lots of little tiny stone chips just flicking off, and you need to protect your eyes. These are just to go over the front of my glasses because I wear glasses, so I find them suitable. Pop them on the side. Then obviously a mask. Make sure it's a good mask with a filter. Basically because of the fine dust, A lot of these fossils contain pyrite, which is iron pyrite, which is certainly not good for your lungs. I mean, you can see how small the dust is, and you inhale that, that's really not good. So a good mask with a filter. Pair of gloves. I tend to use just one because I use that one to hold the product. Hold the rock. Because, yeah, I like to protect my hands a little bit. So that's the safety gear. I have 2 Dremels. I have a percussion Dremel, which obviously is an engraver, with an extremely sharp point on the end. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if we can do this. So that's a nice stylus. I also use a chisel effect one, which basically takes off the larger pieces of matrix, where the other one just tidies up and does little tinier pieces. This one with the tiny little ball on the end, I mean, this is completely mashed. It used to be, my husband used it on vehicles and various other bits and bobs, so basically this little one is a little bit worse for wear. But this is a rotary one, and that's what I use to clean the matrix. So it just smooths out the rock and makes it, you know, a little bit tidier and not rough and ready like these underneath here. I then also have a brush, so while I'm cleaning the matrix, I can just dust off so I can see where I've got to. Also helps to clear up my desk area so I can, or my bench, whatever you want to call it, my table, just so I can keep the dust controlled in one place. I do tend to keep some of the dust, as you can see in here. This is for doing any repairs if I've got a split like I had on that matrix. So I'll keep that, just, a little bit of dust. The rest of it I'll just throw away. This is just to make sure I've got a little bit of something to do repairs. The type of glue I use is just a super glue. Nothing extraordinary. All the other fossil preppers I've watched on videos tend to use just a normal super glue, and that seems to work pretty well. Oh, and I forgot another safety feature. I don't own ear defenders, but I do wear earplugs purely because the Dremel is very noisy. Pop them up there out the way before I get all dusty. And then I've obviously got my other tools. These are for doing the matrix and what have you. These are old, so I don't mind using them on stone. They are carbide steel, so they can take quite a hammering. These little brushes, this one I use for putting on the beeswax at the end. That's what makes the fossils pop out and look like a darker colour. So I just use that, just dip it in the beeswax and just do a little bit of around the stones. And then this one, that's just a multi-purpose, just to brush on the stone, just to get out the cracks and what have you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get set up here and pop you guys onto a time lapse. The fossil I'm prepping today is what's commonly known as a devil's toenail. I will get the correct terminology for it and pop it on the bottom of the screen. I'll give you a quick show. So I'm cleaning up underneath, trying to separate this matrix from the actual shell. And I'm going to try and do the same here, because I don't know if you can actually make that out. There's a shell in here and another shell piece here, but if I can't save anything within this matrix, then, you know, it's just unfortunate. My main goal obviously is to get this big beastie out. So I'm using the chisel at the moment. Basically that's to get away some of the bigger pieces of matrix. And I'm not going too close to the fossil because I don't want to damage the fossil surface. So I will tidy that up with the sharp stylus once I've got it free of its matrix. I was thinking about leaving it on its matrix so it's got a little stand. I may still do that. I'm giving it some thought as I go, so yeah, I might just smooth this off and get that all nice and level. So yeah, why not? If I don't manage to save this, then, you know, no biggie. We'll ad lib. We'll see how we go as we go. So some of this matrix is quite soft, so it's prepping up quite easy. But I have noticed that there is in this matrix some other items which are fossils, so I'm going to try and preserve that if I can. If not, then, you know, it's just one of those things really. As you can see, where I made a nice piece on the bottom for the stand, that's broken away. So basically the fossil's decided by itself what it wants to do. So I'm going to go and probably just prep the whole shell, removing all the matrix. If I manage to save these bits here, then good. If not, then, you know, I'm not going to worry too much. My main goal is to reveal this shell here. Bit that popped off a minute ago was just like the a shell piece, which had some iron pyrite in the centre of it, but that was right in here, stuck down upside down. So I'm wanting to reveal the fossil now, because obviously that other piece was quite broken. But as you can see, I'm just going around the edges now, trying to get the shape without damaging the actual fossil itself. This bit is going to be a bit problematic because I got a little bit of iron pyrite in there, which is harder than the rest of the stuff that I've already been taking out. As you can see, the progress is quite slow, so I'm just trying to work my way around and attack this lump here from this side, hoping that I can get the matrix off from there, which is pretty tough. And I really don't want to lose my edge, and I'm not quite sure where that actually goes, so I've got to do it nice and slow. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do now is just tidy up the shell. As you can see, I've made quite a dent in the actual shell centre itself. These guys tend to have a trapdoor, not quite sure which way they open, but they have like a trapdoor, but this one actually hasn't got his trapdoor anymore. So I've just hollowed out a little bit of the matrix that was inside his shell. He's looking pretty good right now, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth out this with the rough ball, big ball on the Dremel, and then we'll go from there. I'm just giving you an indication of how we do the smoothing out of the matrix to make it a little bit more easier, but it is very, very fine dust. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to do now. I've taken off the worst. I'm going to go back round with a smaller ball, which is this guy, which is a lot smaller than the one that's already on there. And I'm going to make it a little bit finer. So I'll come back when I've actually done that. All right, see you. So what I've done so far then, whilst being off camera, is I finished making this as reasonable tidy as I possibly can, and I've also used a very, very light brass, sort of like, I don't know what you call this. You guys will know though, won't you? So basically like a wire brush, and I've just gone over very, very lightly, just barely touching, just to take the very, very tiny pieces off very, very lightly, because I don't want to damage what's there. So now I'm going to go give this a little wash, get all the dust off, and then I will prep it for beeswax. So I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, so that's our fossil, all the dust removed. So now I'm just going to apply a little bit of beeswax just to polish off. For this I've got one of these shoe shine kits, never been used. That's my wax on, this is my wax off. So I try and keep the brushes according to you know, the, oh for goodness sake, what am I trying to say? Here we are. Okay, so I try and keep these brushes one for off, one for on, basically just so that they don't get messed up. So I'm going to use this brush then, my on brush, and I'm going to dip this in some beeswax, only a little bit. Just brush that on. And I don't want to do the matrix in the middle, so we're just going to not put any on there at all, so that keeps that nice and like a dull colour, not polished. I'm only putting a very, very light amount on. I don't want a lot on because, you know, I don't want this shining like I've just bought it from a shop. It's something that I've done, so I want to be able to see what I've done. Okay. If you wanted, you could just go back in with a little brush, do the little bits in between. It's entirely up to you, but obviously I found that if you use too much wax, it tends to spoil it. So very, very little, just to take up the fossil, so that, you know, there's a little bit on there. There's just a little bit in there, a little bit on the end. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do now, close up my beeswax, because it does smell a bit. Use my brush. This is my off brush, and basically I'm just going to give it a good buff in, just to spread the wax that's on there. As you can see, there's no wax in this piece. You're losing the strands from the brush. And I just give it a wipe over in case there's any excess with my cloth. So, as you can see, this is your completed devil's toenail. And with that, I am extremely happy. Okay, so watch out for future fossil prepping videos. There will be some more coming. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching with me.